What's going on, internet friends and whoever we got in the chats? I mean, we already got a couple people in the chats. K-Mail here. Uh, Probably wondering where Radar is. Radar is still kind of, he's got a lot of things going on that's making it a little bit harder for him to, stick to his schedule and actually be able to stream properly. So I wanted to get some content out there. I've done some interviews with other channels in the past that I like to co-host. So I just wanted to take a stab at it, try to bring some content to a day that we don't normally get too much. We do have the weekend co-ops guys coming up later, so I'm going to be on and off before they get on. So yeah, this is the smoke pit. Typically, we don't have too much of a agenda or anything to really talk about. So maybe you're sitting in the bar right now or sitting in an actual smoke pit. Larry said he's smoking at the smoke pit right now. We got some dancing emojis from Annette Steinoff, so thanks for already checking in there. I don't think I've really introduced myself too much. I've been on some of the other streams with like Pop Culture Warrior. I think a little hopped into the weekend co-ops a few times and looked really dumb trying to play video games. But K-Mill grew up in Florida. Make your jokes now. No Florida man stories for me from that. Grew up in Florida. Grew up on the East Coast or the Space Coast out near Cocoa Beach. Basically, ran off I-95. Grew up with the space program there, so watching space shuttle launches from my backyard, and then having the sonic booms hit 6 in the morning and sounding like somebody's, hitting your house with a hammer. Especially if you got one of those big plate glass back door windows. Those are always fun. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Went to University of Central Florida. Go Knights. Let me make sure I actually have sound going here. Can I hear my dorky self on here? Yeah, I can hear myself. All right, cool. I don't have anybody telling me that I don't hear any audio. So, anyways, but yeah, went to University of Central Florida. Go Knights. 2017 national champions. If anybody gets what I'm referencing. Got graduated from there and was working in financial services for a little bit and decided to join the Army. So enlisted in the Army and went to Fort Benning and Fort Gordon, where I did AIT for satellite communications. And the Army then sent me to the great place, Fort Hood. So I was at Fort Hood for about 4.5 years. Had a quick little trip over to Afghanistan and then did the first unit rotation through Korea. So spent about 9 months out there, Camp Casey, Camp Hovey. So yeah, a lot of good times there. And then finished active duty after about 5.5 years. Did 2 years at the Texas National Guard. Then at the same time, I was working in a network for enterprise for a defense contracting company with some business and industrial. So I've been with that same company, coming up 9.5 years. It'll be 10 years. But I lived in Texas for about 12 years. Went through some personal changes, and now you're hearing me from Northern Virginia, outside DC. Beautiful weather right now. Great riding weather. Took one of my bikes out today, so had a lot of fun. And actually, it was the bike that was in that intro video, if you got a chance to see that. So, but yeah, if anybody has anything they want to talk about, feel free to hop in the chats. Say hi. There are a couple things I wanted to just touch base if I didn't get anybody to drop any comments in the chats, but yeah, one of the things I wanted to I don't know, just chat about is the, let's see here. Let's see if I get this working. Hopefully, this is my first time streaming, so hopefully I got all this stuff right. So let's see if this looks cool. There we go. Hey, it almost looks like I know what I'm doing. So yeah, this is the Department of War, war.gov, or Department of Defense, depending on how you feel about that name change. Technically, Congress hasn't approved it yet, so it's one of those, DBA kind of things. Sup, buddy? Hey, what's going on, Corey? How we doing? So, I mean, it's really the whole UFO, or as they call it now, UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. They just, I don't know. I mean, you could just say that they're trying to be transparent, or they're trying to distract us from other things. I'm not going to try to go down the whole conspiracy thing or make any accusations. This is timing is interesting, but I actually started looking through some of these files. Hopefully I didn't get myself on any lists. So it's some of this stuff, it's the way it's been scanned, it's almost like to me it almost looks staged. Like it looks, I don't know, maybe it's the way it gets scanned, stuff I've seen all the time. If I were to make a movie prop, some of this stuff would look like a movie prop. So, great bro, I haven't or don't think I've seen you before. Yeah, you probably haven't seen me before, unless you've paid attention to some of the other channels when I've helped co-host or, and I have also, while I'm on that topic, I have filmed a couple videos where I did some interviews. I did a bike vet with Paul Tuttle Jr. last year out in Pennsylvania. That's where that video was from, was the group ride we did on 9/11 with Paul Tuttle Jr. And he had a beautiful CVO. And then his brother Mikey and his buddy Vinny, they were on their mopeds, cute little scooters. I say cute, but they look like a lot of fun. And it was actually funny. I couldn't find it in the video, but they were actually taking, like during the ride, they were actually taking the scooters and hopping like curbs and using them like ramps. It was kind of funny. But yeah, so some of this some of these scans, it's kind of interesting to see, it's kind of what you would expect. All the different stamps, 1966, J. Edgar Hoover signing some of these things. I don't know. Here's my question. Does anybody actually care? You know what I mean? I have a good buddy of mine from the artist world that is really, really into the UFOs and whatnot. So he is one of the few people that I would actually think is kind of excited about this. And we actually filmed a podcast that he was supposed to be doing earlier this year, I think. I'm not sure if he ever got around to publishing it or not. But does anybody actually care? I haven't seen anybody who was actually really excited about seeing UAVs or any of these files being declassified. I mean, not really, just saying people are busy living. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, most people, especially, with all everything going on in this world, it seems like everything's moving at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And, gas, I mean, I think I was paying $4.15 a gallon the other day. So people are more concerned about just trying to get to work or getting their kids to school without going broke, much less they want to worry about the flying saucers. I would, but yeah, that's the common thing. So that I keep wanting to ask people is, does anybody actually care? To me, I think it's more this, the society trying to figure out if any of this is actually real. Do we even care? Is there any reason for me to actually care or think it's real? Or did they just classify a ton of stuff that really didn't need to be classified? I don't know. Some of these files, I mean, why is this classified? It's just newspaper. Who cares if a newspaper is classified? I don't know. Oh, what do we got here? Flying Saucers International Journal. I don't know why this was classified. Flying saucers are real. I don't know. I'm sure somebody's taken all this stuff and plugged it into AI to try to, kind of like what they did with the other large group of files a while back, the rhymes with Einstein files. In response to your inquiry, the policy of this bureau regarding the investigation of identified flag files also is contrary to my long-standing policy to express an opinion. So basically, J. Edgar Hoover is getting all these letters from people talking about UFOs back in the 60s. And I mean, he actually took the time to respond back to these people. This guy was from England, airmail. Oh, look. I mean, can you imagine today if you were to send a letter about UFOs to Kash Patel? Would he actually respond to it? They did look for that. They combined all the vids. All right, we talk about UFO videos. Let's see here. This guy from West Virginia, next door. West Virginia. I don't know. I mean, really, I think to me, how I feel is, unless we have like a situation like Independence Day where they're actually like parking themselves right over the White House or over my house, I don't think most people are going to care. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Does anybody actually care? Is anybody actually worried about aliens, really? I don't know. What do we got here? Appeared, furnished the following relating object. Sometime during 1943, he graduated from German Air Academy, blah, 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 blah. Let's see here. Pyrell said he copied this data from a board. I don't know. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff to just, I think it's supposed to rain later or tomorrow, so maybe I could print some of this stuff out and curl up next to a nice fire and read about UFO files from the 40s and the 60s. I don't know. Yeah, let's see here. Corey, yes, and AI. Okay. You know what I should do is I have that friend of mine that's really into UFOs. It'd be really funny if I could get him on here sometime and we could sit and BS about UFOs. Yeah, if I do this again, I don't know, get a good response. We'll see. All right, so aside from UFOs, let me know in the chats. Do you care? Do you not care? You just want to be able to afford gas again. Well, this is weird. I got here. UFO contact IGAP journal. I get some legit journals for UFOs back in the 60s. All right. So I mentioned I had a couple bikes. You saw in the video my Honda Shadow. That was what I bought last year when I started riding and wanted to, was looking for something smaller and affordable, with the less risk of taking myself over a cliff. But and then back in November, I found a really good deal on a 2005 Electra Glide. So I've kind of grown up with the whole Harley brand throughout my whole life. Both of my parents either rode or both. I mean, at one point, both my dad and my mother had motorcycles. They still do, but they've been in kind of like they just retired, and they've had like the last 10 years if they've not been able to really ride too well. So they've both. My dad had an '89 electric glide. I think it was like an ultra classic, or and then my mom had I forgot what year it was, like a I don't know '99 Sportster. Pretty cool. I love the handlebars on hers, but they haven't been able to ride, so it's kind of been sitting in like storage containers or shipping containers on their property, and they're not looking too pretty. But literally, my dad's retiring this year, and he's gonna have a lot of free time. So I think I think the whole getting back on the two wheels is going to be in his future here, near future. So with that said, Harley Davidson has made some with their new CEO that they got on board. What's his name? Artie Stars has been making some waves. You know, I don't think the last CEO, in my opinion, did not have, I don't know, the core Harley customer in mind with some of the stuff he was making. Never mind the DEI stuff. I mean, every company went through that. But more or less, I feel like the Harley brand was built by, you know, hardworking middle class people. Either, you know, whether there was people at the plants in Milwaukee, or it was a guy who could barely, afford to buy a car, buying like a Sportster. So, what's his name? Zeitz. I forgot his last name, or his whole name. Is the last CEO, which I thought was kind of funny. The last CEO came from Puma, whatever. His whole thing was about selling to the more affluent buyer. Let's sell these big bagger bikes, you know, for $40,000-$50,000. I mean, shoot, what's his name? Richard Rawlings. Yeah, Richard Rawlings from the Gas Monkey guy. Last year, he posted that video. He's like, I just bought the most expensive Harley ever. It was like $100 and some odd $1,000. Beautiful CVO bike, but I don't think it was worth that much. But anyways, the whole strategy was to sell to folks like that, sell fewer volume but higher margin. But the new guy, Artie Stars, is starting this new strategy. I guess it's called Back to Bricks. So they have, because back in 2022, they stopped selling the Sportster. I think the Sportster was one of the main platforms that built Harley. It was like the entry point for a lot of writers. It was easy to work on. I mean, shoot, my dad had a 71 Sportster with like an iron head. Now, I'm not gonna say it was easy to work on. I was talking to him the other day about it, and I was like, "Oh, you know who bought that thing?" He's like, "You know what? I was not sad when I sold that thing." Hey, there's DJ. What's up, Keith? Yeah, DJ, we were just talking about the UFOs a little bit and trying to see if anybody actually cares or not. But yeah, so yeah, he apparently that engine. He's like, I tore that engine apart so many times, rebuilding the head. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe it's not a big deal. I've found it back. Found it. There's pictures of us, me, I was like, I don't know, 6 months old, wrapped up in a blanket, and we rode that thing cross country when my dad was still in the Air Force, so it was pretty cool. But anyways, the 883, they stopped selling that back in 2022. Their official stance was the fact that, first they stopped selling it in Europe because the air-cooled engines couldn't meet the emission requirements, and then they stopped selling in the U.S. Interesting enough, I saw last year at some point there was a Chinese company that had started selling their own and using another reseller of some kind. I forgot the whole business agreement, but essentially they were selling nice. I'm woodworking and listening. Oh wow, cool. Interesting enough, they started releasing this cruiser motorcycle that looked like a clone, and there was a lot of people that were starting this whole rumor on, and it took shape and picked up some steam that Harley had sold the Sportster license to this Chinese company to sell. And, and Harley had to come out and basically, like, they basically had to have their legal department respond to a few people saying, we did not sell our license. And we're currently working on following up on this from a legal perspective. So just another example of a Harley brand or an American brand getting copied. And then, interesting enough, the Chinese company had tweaked that build to where it still stayed air cooled and met all the emission requirements for Europe. So it begs the question of whether or not they could have just tweaked it for the American market. So I'm guessing, I don't know. It says that they are bringing back the Sportster 883 with an Evolution motor, which I'm kind of confused. An Evolution motor, is that what they were using before? I'd have to research it. And on top of the Sportster, we've been waiting for what they call the Sprint, which apparently was this. It's going to be like a it's going to be a sub 500cc engine. And people are speculating, are pretty sure that the 440 is going to be based off of this model that they were building and selling in India. So this is supposed to be like a bike that you can get for like $6,000, like really, really entry level market, which I think is a smart idea because I go to motorcycle dealerships and you have the Triumphs and you have the Royal Enfields, and they have models right in this wheelhouse of 400, 500, 600 cc's, and they're selling them like sub $10,000. And there's been a couple times that I've taken them out for demo rides, like they have demo days, and some of these things, the way they build them and tune them, like I get more power out of that than my Honda 750. Like I can get up on the road and hit 70 real quick. So hopefully they're going to go along the same path with this Sprint and the Sportster. So it'll be cool to see, bringing it back. I had a feeling they would. You get the right CEO in there. Something else, I'm sure if you pay attention to the biking world, this RMCR, it's inspired by this Legacy XLCR. It's a cafe racer, I guess you would call it. So a lot of folks did not care for this concept back in, I think it was 1979. They tried to, Harley tried to release this cafe racer back in 1979 and did not get much of a response. And I don't think the population or the buyer's market was there. At least maybe it probably didn't get marketed right. However, this RMCR is using the engine, the Revolution Max or the Rev Max. It's going to have a 1250 cc in there. So to me, it looks like a slimmed down version of the Pan American, with a round headlight instead of the square one. So, and then I did see, not to bring up Rich Rawlings again, but I remember seeing a while back, they had the Gas Monkey. They had this guy do like a one-off build of modification of a Pan American, and essentially it looked a lot like this, but pretty sharp looking and looked like a lot of fun and sounded pretty cool as well. So that's that. So DJ, if you're still listening, let me know what you think. Anything special about the UFO files? Have you dug into it at all? Let me know in the comments if you're still listening. Oh yeah, so this is some of the other marketing that they released. There's like a black silhouette of the 883 air-cooled Evo powered Sportster. Sprint motor. So, oh, and I'm a big aviation nerd, and heard like, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to talk about that Frontier airline incident they had. I think it was either early this morning in Denver. Let's see here. Let's see if we can play the footage. DJ, I've looked a little. Got to sit down and do it maybe tomorrow. Give me a little inspiration on, buddy. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I got the audio working properly.
We're following breaking news from overnight after a Frontier Airlines jet hit a person on a runway. This was over at Denver International Airport. DPD confirming that person has died. This morning, an official confirming to ABC News the victim was, quote, at least partially consumed by one of the engines, causing a brief engine fire. Listen to that moment from air traffic control.
Partially consumed. And I thought maybe they just got clipped by the wheels or something like that. And then I saw a picture of the engine after, the incident and didn't realize what the colors I was looking at. It was kind of weird, reddish, brownish hue. So after I realized that what they'd actually got sucked into the engine, those colors hit home a little bit more. But yeah, partially consumed. Ooh. But yeah.
Tower, Frontier 4345. We're stopping on the runway. We just hit somebody. We have an engine fire.
224 passengers and 7 crew members were on the Los Angeles-bound flight. They were all evacuated off that plane. One of those passengers speaking with Denver 7 overnight. Listen.
Started going down the runway, and all of a sudden there was this huge bang. For whatever reason, the cabin filled with smoke.
And Denver 7's Lauren Lennon is live for us over at Denver.
Yeah, there's video from inside. You can see the fire. Yeah, I saw the video this morning, and now I can't find the dang clip. I did find, where did I find that? Let me see if I can pull that thing up. Engine. I mean, I can't find the flame, but oh, you know what? I know what.
International Airport this morning. Lauren, run us through what we know and what Frontier.
The last struck by the Frontier.
So yeah, basically the guy, this person, a civilian, not an airport worker or whatever, just decided to scale the fence and get onto the runway and just run across.
Take a look at your screen here. This was sent to us from a passenger that was on that flight last night, showing what that scene looked like. Again, this all happened on runway 17. DIA officials saying that the plane was taking off for Los Angeles just after 11 p.m. That's when it struck a person on the runway. Officials telling ABC News again that that person was, quote, at least partially consumed by one of the engines, causing a brief engine fire. Emergency crews responded to this.
Was this the other? Yeah, so this guy, he's got
Facebook, etc. Visit a link in the bio. Go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this.
Oh.
Tower Frontier 4340.
Yeah, that flame. I don't know if that was the same video I saw. Like, I saw more flame in the other video, or at least I thought.
Further ado, let's go ahead and roll this.
There was another cool picture. Well, not cool. What am I talking about? I don't know. I feel like a jerk. Let's see here. Quick access. I can't find the picture now. I saved it. Whatever. It was just a crazy shot, just seeing sparks from another thing from another angle. But there's another aspect of this that I think is crazy. So the aircraft fills with smoke, right? And you're a passenger on there. So you're probably already freaking out. You hit a loud bang, there's smoke. They tell you that they evacuated on the runway. And there's footage.
South Frontier 4345, we're stopping on the runway. We just hit somebody.
So yeah, these people just evacuated this plane, came off the slide, and there's another clip where they're saying, the pilot's like, yeah, we have 21,000 pounds of jet fuel still on the plane. And they're telling everybody, get away from the plane, get away, get away, get away. And what are these folks doing? Going right over to the engine in question to inspect it. Even though that thing was just on fire and attached to 21,000 pounds of fuel. So I don't know. People amaze me sometimes. There is another picture. I'm not going to put it on here, where the inside of the engine there is well lit, and you see a lot more than some people may want to see. Some of the video clips I was seeing, they basically were blurring this out. So, oh yeah, DJ, that's right. You would have responded because your friend DJ is looking at, been trying to get a workout there. Hopefully he gets that soon. Yeah. So, what have I been on? I've been on. Let's see here. Been on for a minute, right? 17 minutes. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. So, yeah. Anywho, let me just go back to the comments real quick, see if anybody else, if I'm not missing anything anywhere. All right. It is Saturday. You know, you might not get too many people wanting to listen to a dork with glasses and Sonic the Hedgehog shirt. Anyways, so they have a something you may not know about me, and my friend DJ definitely knows in the chats. I've been involved with the artist community, more specifically the comic community, and the comic convention. So, one of the big things in the comic world is independent creators. Very passionate about that. I love seeing people come up with an idea, come up with a story, come up with basically their own creation, and get it out to the masses and find other people who enjoy that idea. And Kickstarters are a big part of that, or crowdfunding, but Kickstarter is the brand that's really involved with that. It is one of the biggest platforms to help people out. And if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, I can... and it's not just art. If you have an invention of some kind, something that you think the world would enjoy, this is almost like it's like, what is that show, Shark Tank, but to the masses. Like right here, you get a lot of tech stuff, a lot of art stuff, board games, calendars, all kinds of stuff. So like right here, what we got here? Let's see. Heisen, the world's first mechanical magnetic keyboard. Nexus both magnetic and hot swap F keys. They have raised $1.2 million. That's impressive. Let's see what we got here. Looks like a gaming keyboard almost. What they're doing here, they're going to go that. Yes. Whoa. Okay. Transparent. That's what I do in my life. These are for your serious Nexus hot swappable. Okay. Does anybody get that detailed or that in the weeds with their keyboard that you need, like, you have to get down to the specs of the keys themselves? It's kind of nuts. I can buy into that. Sometimes I think people just like to hear that clickety clack of the mechanical keyboards. Nope, still using the default keyboard.
Hey, Guy.
I guess you haven't lived.
Yep, I'm coming.
What's up, bitch? What's going on, Blue Falcon? All right. I don't know. I mean, I guess there was a big enough market for it that they have 5,000 backers and $1.2 million. And let's see here. I bought a mechanical keyboard solely to annoy my coworkers while I like time. I had somebody that did that with one of my other offices. Luckily, I was not in the same office with them. It was a finance person. Oh, look at all these brands. There we go. Flow, Edge. Nerds. Yeah, whatever. I mean, to each their own. I mean, if you make your living off of working at a computer, something like this may benefit you a lot more than some other folks. Wow, look at all these videos. Holy cow. Anyways, but yeah, so that's Kickstarter. You have an idea that you're passionate about, you know, and you want to bring it to the masses. So Kickstarter specifically, it's a lot of it's art, board games. This guy's got a cooling blanket. And let's see your keyboards, whatever. Now, there is a caveat here. I thought I was doing a cool Christmas idea for somebody a while back with a Kickstarter campaign. And it was for this really, really cool lap-based, you know, table stand where you could put like your keyboards or, you know, I don't know, just drinks, food, work, whatever. And, you know, it was one of the first Kickstarters I signed up for. And I think I dropped like $120 and it was, what I didn't realize it was, let's see, this was like in 2021, end of 2021, I think it was, around that time frame. And what I didn't realize is the people were based out of the Ukraine. And then 2022 hits, and they were sending out updates and things like that. And then the campaign finished, and of course, I think they did like $750,000 in sales. And then they'd sent out some updates. They showed some stuff. They were working, showing how things were going. And then Russia invaded the Ukraine, and we basically lost all of our updates. So, and then they sent me a a survey. So after you do these projects, you sign up you pledge to back a project. They'll send you a survey later. Now, a lot of times, most of these, you will pay for shipping when you do your pledge. You pay for your portion of the pledge. I want this product, and then you'll pay for shipping. Well, some of these folks, they'll send out a survey afterwards that's like, hey, give us your address, and then we can calculate shipping, and then we'll ship it to you. So I paid like, what, 110, 120 bucks, or just round down to like $100. And sorry, dude, I'm staying in a mantle. Oh, sounds fun. $100. And then they sent out the survey and said, oh, shipping's going to be $50. I was like, that sounds a little crazy. But then come to, figure out, I guess, with international shipping, $50 is what it was going to be. I decided not to pay immediately. I wanted to wait a little bit, or I sent him a thing back asking him some questions. I never heard back. And then other people were complaining, so I just held off for the time being. And then that's when all the, the Russia thing happened, and all the comments, updates basically tailored off. Like, you'll still see people that are salty. If I were to go find that thing right now, it probably would be, you would probably still see comments from this week of people trying to see if there's any updates and being really pissed off, even though it's very obvious we're never going to see anything. So, yeah. Anyways, back to my original point, Kickstarter. Comics. One of the contacts I've made was somebody in that realm that has a comic book series that he's working on. And he's had 2 successful campaigns. His name's Ray Jameson, and I did an interview earlier in the week with him, and I've actually interviewed him for another page that I knew the group I was helping with in the past, and we had a good time catching up on the story and him telling explain all the excitement for this story that he's got going. So, yeah, if I don't see anybody else chit-chatting, so I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put that interview on, and we'll go from there. So tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a quick interview here with Ray Jameson. I've done previous interviews with him. He's an artist and creator of his own comic book series called The Mad Caps. He's already his 3rd successful Kickstarter campaign. He's already funded. So without further delay, we're going to go ahead and introduce. There's Mr. Ray Jameson. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. This is my first time on the creative side of a comic, and people are really liking it. I'm flattered for all of the support, and I love coming on to shows like this and just talking about this cool story.
So yeah, your story is more in the fantasy side. Like if you're a fan of the Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah, all things fantasy, D&D included, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so pretty interesting story. I've read the 3rd issue. Pretty good in the character building aspect, a little bit of the team building with that team. So why don't you give like a quick rundown about the storyline and where we're at currently?
Sure. So this entire series takes place in one night. It consists of 4 friends getting together for the first time in a while back in their hometown, and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they find themselves helping the local guards stave off the beginnings of an undead outbreak. Over time, it is believed that this outbreak has something to do with a local drug issue, with this fictional drug known as weave. And one thing leads to another, and they find themselves pulling on threads and never really getting a finite answer. Every answer they get brings up another question or two. This final issue, going into the completion of this series, finds these 4 individuals. It's revealed that there is a necromancer attempting to put a curse on their hometown. So all of issue 3 is about them trying to hunt down and pacify this necromancer before such a thing can occur. These are people at the end of the night. They are exhausted. They are not the mightiest of adventurers, and they're not in the best of shape. This really boils down to, can these people who, anybody around their friends, you have to live up to how they view you, right? So these 4 friends find themselves, we don't even have enough time to go call for help. There's critical hours left, and we have to just go in and see if we can just stop the bad thing from happening.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I said I read 3rd issue, but I meant the 2nd issue.
I understand.
Yeah, so sorry about that. So
that's okay.
Let me go ahead here. I got the Kickstarter pulled up right now. So yeah, you have a goal of $500, and you're already like 450%?
Yes.
12 days ago, so you're doing pretty good with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I preloaded some of the characters. If you want to do a quick rundown on any of these,
for sure. You know what? We could do 2 birds with 1 stone if you go to the covers. If you go back to the Kickstarter and scroll down a bit, keep going, and I could talk all about them while there's some colorful images here. So right there, that's a good one to start with. Go up a little bit more. That guy right there. Okay. So this is a full-blooded dwarf named Sarlacc Swamp Trudger. He is, his group of dwarves many generations back decided to leave the mountains, and they decided to work the farmlands and grow crops and raise livestock. And as stubborn dwarves go, they decided to do this in the middle of a swampland. Generationally speaking, they've been able to terraform their surrounding area and expand it accordingly. Culturally speaking, because of this and dealing with borderlines that are infested with swamplands, they are pretty good at tracking down and pacifying things that go bump in the night. Sarlacc, he's very devout to something only known as the divine, and because of that, he has some interesting gifts or benefits, if you will. Now, in his early adolescence, he felt compelled to travel to this human city. It's predominantly human, a little bit of orc as well, and be a beacon of light in that town for those less fortunate than him. If I had to simplify him in a sentence, he's like a religious holy guy of the woods, an axe-wielding, I don't want to say do-gooder, but he's somebody that wants to do right by others, and having a moral code is very important to him. If you go down to the next cover, this is Madracus Darthual. For anybody who used to watch the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, this guy has been compared to the Green Ranger. Does a lot of cool things, and people consider him a fan favorite. Doesn't necessarily give the finishing blow, but does a lot of things leading up to that point. The Madracus Darthual is over 6.5 feet in height. He's over 350 pounds in body weight. And his looks are very imposing, almost like a soldier or a well-seasoned mercenary. But at the end of the day, he is not a skilled fighter, and the things he wears on him are ceremonial to reflect the little he knows of his people. He was hatched and raised by humans. And despite all of this, the scariest thing about him is his brain. He is he has a lot of potential to be very good with the arcane. You see it a little bit through the issues. There's one scene where he actually catches a zombie by the throat, sets its head on fire, and casts it aside instead of hacking it all up, claiming it's less mess that way. But one of the cool things in either hand, there's some interesting contrast. I really love contrasting skills because they usually make really cool things. For example, mathematics and art, you can make cool polygons and geometry. Video games are math and art, essentially. But here we have a blade in one hand and a book. The book is actually a critical part at the end of issue 2. And every cover you see here, I try to have it foreshadow something that's going on in the issue you're about to read. I feel that's very important to me. So the previous one with Sarlacc, with him smashing up a bunch of skeletons, you will see something like that. You will see Madracus involved with this book in some form. If you go down to the next cover, that cover there is actually a tribute to Final Fantasy for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
I had a feeling, because we discussed that. I think we discussed that last time.
Yeah. This is done by Jenna Stark. You can see the main antagonist is actually in the same position Garland is, the knight, which is one of the first bosses that you fight in the game. If you scroll down, you'll see the third character. This is done in Eni. He is half dwarf, half gnome. He's a little bit shorter than your average dwarf, and he can't grow a beard. And through his muddled bloodline, he somehow has been able to have a magical influence over metals and crystalline structures. One cool contraption he's made is that telescope peeking up over his back, and he can blast raw arcana out of it, kind of like a shotgun. This cover here is going to be lava foil. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on it. I think it's really going to pop. Shout out to Fish Lee, of course.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I like this. It's pretty intense, and I like who did the trade dress.
Fish Lee did that as well.
Okay, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Gives it that singed look.
Yes.
So.
And if you go down to the next one, this is Chasgo Blundale. This is drawn by Pog's Art. This is colored by Dave Kemp. This was rather, all the white on this cover is going to be glow in the dark.
There we go.
And also, Chasgo is an interesting character. So he has blue skin for a reason. Just like in real life, when humans are exposed to enough silver, especially if they ingest it, it will actually tattoo their skin blue, and it looks very fake. You can. One of the most famous ones, he was interviewed on Oprah. It looks like he's getting ready to be on a sci-fi set or something. But anyways, Chasgo is a byproduct, and of course, this is fantasy. All that silver in his system makes him highly resistant to magic. His people would be considered very xenophobic. They live in a mountain range riddled with silver deposits, and they want nothing to do with outsiders. They think worshiping the very mountain is what gives them such resistance to magic. They view magic as almost an abomination. And Chasgo wants nothing to do with his people. He feels they're very dysfunctional, but where do you go when you look like something that every settlement would kill you on sight over? He was visited by something only known as a net, and a net gave him some magical abilities, which one of the most important ones is he can disguise himself. And he hides as a human in Ivywood. And he has some really interesting things, including his own pet, which is a three-eyed albino raven, which is a part of a crucial part, especially in issue 2, but you'll see Emmix again in issue 3. That's all 4 in a nutshell, but I do want to mention 3 more covers. Could you scroll to the very top of this cover list? Keep going right there. So that one there is done by Victor Medina. That is my interior artist. This cover he actually did as a warm-up drawing in order to get ready to do the interiors for issue 2. I was beside myself. I wish I knew I would have done something with this, but I bought it off him. I wanted it to be the main cover for issue 3. Underneath that, we have the main antagonist cover. This is the first time you see anything to do with the main antagonist. This is an elven necromancer, which is a walking contradiction. And this was drawn by Harv Salteris. He has drawn the first year of Dan Ketch's Ghost Rider in the 90s, The Flash. He's drawn Catwoman and various other individuals. Also, this was colored by Dan Kemp, who's done basically 100 issues of Spawn, like roughly 50 to 150. Yeah. So it was really cool to have somebody who's colored the Hellspawn of Image and somebody who's illustrated the Hellspawn of Marvel. they've never crossed paths before, despite being in the game since the early 90s and earlier. And I'm very happy I was able to facilitate them combining their efforts, because it's a real beautiful piece. The last one I'll show you, if you scroll down a bit, this one's a tad hard to find. Keep going, more. Go past all of these. Go past the glow in the dark one. This is the interiors. Keep going. Little bit. There it is right there. So, one more up. There we go. So this is what we're calling the special edition trilogy of covers.
Oh, I gotcha.
So issue 1, 2, and 3 have brand new covers, and when you combine them, it makes this beautiful image drawn by Rod Ramos Rodolfo, colored by, again, Dan Kemp. And this is a depiction of the third act of issue 3, or the final act of issue 3, I should say. You can see the main antagonist on the left, which we don't know too much about her, but on the right is an interesting creature, we'll say. There's a lot going on. Are you able to play the trailer at the top of this?
Let's see if hopefully we can get the audio to play. It should be good.
While making contact with our friends Chazgo and Sarlacc, we crossed paths with an undead outbreak in Ivywood. This led us down a rabbit hole involving a local drug called Weave, bandits, kidnapped citizens, and an ominous book which I was able to gather critical information from. Time was not on our side, and we were not the most qualified to address this urgency.
We need to blow up the distillery.
Can't hold this spell much longer! The necromancer is mine. I am your beacon!
Anybody watching this, look up this trailer, voiced by Cabo Foster and Michael Towson. These guys are pros. They're also professional D&D players, and they're a real good time. I was very happy with their abilities in this trailer. So go ahead and look that up after you're done watching this. We've got lots of cool tiers and lots of cool different add-ons, including a map of where this whole story takes place. We have character sheets that I transferred the characters into D&D 5th edition level 5 characters, which is a lot of fun. We have t-shirts, we have blankets, we have lots of cool stuff going on. It's just a matter of going in and having a look. And one of the coolest things about this story is it's contained within these 3 issues. You don't, and I've said this on other podcasts, you don't have to watch or read 70 years worth of lore to understand every reference in every page. That's no disrespect to companies like Marvel and DC. The fact that I can pick up an issue, if I'm not familiar with that hero, and I might have to get some references by going on Reddit, that just shows how well established they are. That's kind of cool. But my book, you don't have to do that. You can go into it with an open mind, know nothing about it, and the story ends, and that's it. I wanted this story to feel like the world exists before it starts and the world exists after the fact. The first couple of pages start with the sun going down, and the last couple of pages on the last issue have the sun coming up. So you will feel like you're stuck in the night with them, pulling an all-nighter. It's kind of like a Hangover, the Hangover minus the comedy, basically.
Nice. So, in issue 2, at the end, it says, to be concluded in the 3rd and final issue.
Yes.
So is this just a 3-book run, or is like the 3rd issue going to be really jam-packed, or?
So my entire intention was just to make this mini-series. Because this is my first time making a book, it's up to the readers to gauge how good the book is. So with that in mind, if it's not that great, which people are telling me it is, and they're liking it, this 3rd campaign is selling better than the other 2. It's my best campaign yet. And all I know is if it wasn't that great, at least it was 3 issues and I wrapped it up and I can walk away with my head up.
Okay.
I'm definitely open to expanding on this lore, but it wasn't my initial intention.
Okay. Yeah, I thought this bird was it's like a fantasy UAV kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like a drone.
Yeah.
Some people were joking about that. A lot of people really like I think it's page 6 of the second issue, with Chazgo concentrating and then all the panels showing what he's seeing through the eyes of the bird. And people are really, really enjoying what they're seeing here.
Just trying to see. Yeah, I see where the bird scared the crap out of him.
I think it's just before that.
Yeah, because I remember seeing his eyes were like, he was like in the zone. Kind of like, what was it? Oh.
That's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah. It's almost kind of made me think of Game of Thrones when, what was it, Bran does the 3-eye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, all right. We can talk about some of the rewards. You got all these different issues. You can do the PDF if you want just to do, help you out, not have to worry about shipping. You can go digital. You can get
premium PDF, so that has all the cover art in there as well.
Okay.
If you go under there, we've got and these are all the covers we just talked about. So here's issue 3, the main protagonist cover, followed by the main antagonist cover. We also have Sarlacc the Dwarf, Madrakis, the descendant of the Great Stormworm, the Final Fantasy tribute cover. We have the lava foil of Dunanini, and we have the glow-in-the-dark of Chazgo. There's also sketch covers. So you get issue 3 as a sketch cover, or...
Because I got issue 2 sketch cover myself.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Issue 3 is actually going to be purple letters. So it goes 1, 2, 3, orange, green, purple. I decided to use secondary colors.
Oh, nice.
Here you can get sketch covers of all 3 issues, which is pretty awesome. Here again, we have the special edition trilogy of covers. So the entire story, but you can frame it and make a really cool picture on your wall.
Yeah, it's actually a neat concept that I like.
Thanks, man. Underneath that, if you're catching up, there's issue 1. Here is the digital catch-up, which is all 3 issues. And it's the main covers of all 3, drawn by Jimbo Salgado, Kenny Calderon, and of course, Victor Medina. Underneath that, we've got the back issues, if you're looking for just number 1 and number 2, but looking to get a different cover 3 as an add-on, you can do that. Underneath that, we have what is called the Jenna Stark Collection. Jenna Stark is the only person who has done a cover for each issue, and those are her covers there, 1, 2, and 3. The only difference is in issue 2, in the second campaign, this was that middle one that looks like a stained glass image. That one was at the time metal foil. This one is not metal foil, just to keep the cost of the trilogy a little down. Underneath that, we have this is the catch-up, all 3. And underneath that, you can get 3 of any of the 5 covers, which are not lava foil or glow-in-the-dark. I mentioned the RPG character sheets. Just underneath that, I'm a fan of playing D&D. This is Michael Towson. He is one of the voice actors in the trailer. He's a professional dungeon master, and he is also a voice actor with a lot under his belts. He's done voice acting for Disney, William Shatner, and various other people. But that tier, if you buy into it, I do not get any money from it. All of that is just to pay for his service. And if you've never played before and you buy into this, within 10 minutes, he'll have you up to snuff and you'll be having a good time. It's a lot of fun. So anybody interested, I think there's 3 of those left. That one has a limit to it. So if you're not sure, go ahead and buy in.
So how'd you get that hookup?
You know what? The majority of my networking through social media, I just ask people and eventually they say yes.
Worst they can say is no.
That's right. And I got a lot of people that said no. And I go in thinking that, because who am I? This is my first time creating a book or anything of this significance. But sometimes you get people that said yes, and I'm really glad I asked. This is no different.
I feel like I've ran into him at conventions. His face looks very familiar.
Yeah. We have the enthusiast here. You get one cover, which is not lava foil or not glow in the dark, and one t-shirt, which it'll show later in the add-ons. We can see more details of that later, calling this one the enthusiast here. And underneath that, we have the blanket or plush tapestry, if you will. And that is of all three. Your options are all three covers. Underneath that, we have the septet of covers. 2 people back this, so that's all the covers, including lava foil and glow in the dark. Very flattered that people bought into that. And then underneath that, we have the issue 3 complete collection, which involves one t-shirt, one blanket. We've got pinups, including a black and white version of it by Sean Langley, the trilogy or the special edition trilogy of covers, all of the covers for issue 3 itself, a map of where this takes place, and so forth and so on. And then for a little bit more, you can get that plus a copy of issue 1 and 2 with the main covers. I think 2 people backed the one just above this. Nobody's backed the omnibus yet. And I am very flattered that all of these, I've had repeat readers, repeat backers, and then new people as well getting into this. And I'm beside myself of all the support I've been getting from everybody.
That's got to be a really cool feeling.
Oh man, I like this story. I thought it was cool, and my goal was to make something that was worthy of a local comic shop, regardless of whether it was better or worse than insert favorite comic book here. But I wanted to make something that was worthy of being on the same spinner rack, and people are saying they like it, so it's super encouraging. Underneath that is all of the add-ons. Underneath the omnibus, we've got the map, which I mentioned. We've got a couple of different pinups. Here's the first one by Sean Langley. We've been working on this one since, we've been selling this one since the first campaign. It's colored by Dan Kemp. For $5 more underneath, you can get both the color and the black and white, which is just under, that one there, which is beautiful. You can see every pen stroke. The next 2 are metal foil pinups. This was a variant cover of issue 2. This was done by Jay Sloan, colored by Dave Kemp. And lots of people wanted that to be a metal foil cover, which I chose not to because of the other stained glass one. I didn't want to steal its thunder, but I made it a metal foil pinup. And underneath that, these 2 talents, they made this cover art as well. So I made that also a metal foil cover. And I really want to see these things when they're done. I think they'll really pop, Underneath that, there's a clear view of what the t-shirt options are. You could choose the colors as well. They are the main antagonist, the one of Madrakis, the one of Sarlacc. They're virgins, so there's no dress on it. You can just appreciate the art for what it is. And we've got secret stretch goals. We have one done. Anybody listening right now, if you go into the updates, you'll see a picture of this homage pinup by John Zamar. It looks like the old school modules, which is really awesome. That one right there, 1500 unlocked. There it is there. So it just shows the 4 main characters around a fire. It feels like a module. I'm really impressed. Dave Kemp dressed it, and John Zamar, shout out to the Philippines, and John for drawing this piece. I like how that one came together. So that one's for free. That's a stretch goal. Any physical backer gets this as just a nice little add-on piece. I've got a secret one coming up at $3,000, which we're getting really close to. And I think that covers all of the add-ons as well. But all in all, I'm very satisfied. I ran this race and completed it. And again, very flattered and very grateful for everybody that's been supporting and backing this. I'm glad people are liking it.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. Especially this is the 3rd issue that we've discussed on the air about. So I'm happy to see that. I think, if I remember correctly, I think you've kind of done a little better with each campaign.
Yes.
So that's a good sign that you know what you're doing a little bit. You've been very pragmatic about it, I think. So
Thanks, man.
So congrats. I'm happy for you. I love seeing, someone's hard work, come to fruition like this, and especially with beautiful artwork. So, and I have a lot of friends who use both Dan and Dave Kemp for various coloring. So and you said it was Dan or Dave?
Both.
Both.
Depending on the cover. Dan did all of the interiors and roughly half of the covers, and Dave did the other half of the covers approximately, and a lot of the dressing of the covers as well.
Yeah, what I've noticed is, if I remember correctly, I think you said Dan did the interiors, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've always noticed that it's a little bit more, I don't know, I just want to say almost like more metallic, more...
right. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Whereas Dave's, I feel like, I'm pretty sure...
That one there.
This is
that one's Dan. One underneath it is Dave.
Yeah, and this one, is that...
That's Victor Medina.
Okay.
He colored his own.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of can recognize both of their styles, and one works better in certain situations, and the other one works better in others. So
well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think that applies to every talent that I've had applied to this book. Just because you have a really skilled individual doesn't mean it's going to give you the best of what you're looking for. It's all situational, in my opinion. And that's why I picked, anytime they've colored Spawn, it's vibrant, it's over the top, and it's not a stretch from fantasy. Really, it's kind of modern fantasy, if anything. But medieval Spawn and many other Spawns, Gunslinger. But here, I think it just transfers very well to this story. It was one of the reasons I asked him.
Okay. Last question I have. I always forget. Are you where are you located? Are you in?
I'm in Winnipeg, Canada.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I thought you were in Canada. I've seen your social media posts with it. I'm like, either he's in Minnesota or Canada. So, do you? We're a veteran streaming organization. Do you have any connections back with the veteran community of any kind, family, yourself, or
you mean with military?
Yeah, military.
Canadian Forces. I do have some friends that are involved, but I personally am not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sometimes I always like to check to see if anybody has they have any veteran background. So I remember talking with Canadian soldiers when I was in Afghanistan on a NATO base, and they were always really cool. So
yeah.
So all right, well, I think that's all we got, and thanks for being a great guest, and again, congrats on the success of your third issue.
Thank you very much.
We'll make sure the link's available for people to click on and find your Kickstarter.
If you'll allow me, I could say one more thing just to promote this.
Yeah, go ahead. Close it out.
For sure. Awesome. So anybody who's watching this, it's very clear. Anybody who gets old enough, there's friends that they miss, they just can't see like they used to. This would include not being able to see them for reasons like, I don't know, let's say school, work, children, family, moving across country. But this book is an homage to that level of camaraderie. I'm talking about the camaraderie where maybe you can see somebody for 5 minutes as they're passing through the city in a parking lot, and your inner child is refreshed. Man, I really needed that. Imagine that, but told with the theme of fantasy through the medium of a comic book. We've got everything from action, intrigued. We've got monsters, malice, mayhem, melee, and a whole macabre of mischief and various other things that don't all necessarily start with M. But I guarantee you, by the time you finish this book, when you close it, you can say, you know what? I appreciated that for what it is. I guarantee you're going to be at least getting your money's worth going back at right now. We're low on time now.
Well, cool. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Thank you kindly. Talk to you later.
All right. Oh, right. We're back. That was a fun interview. He's super friendly, very, very passionate about what he, about his art, and can't help but respect the guy. So, coming up on the 8 o'clock hour, I got to make this quick. Thanks for everybody who came out, threw in some comments there. Got to do some housekeeping real quick here. Let's see if I did this right. Yep. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boo. Ding. Imaging is not working, so we're going to do a browser share. All right. The W.T.F. Nation Radio. Our normal scheduling and what we normally have going. We have Dr. J. The Reset. I think she is not going to be able to stream tomorrow, so I think she's got a quick little announcement of what she's got going on with Mother's Day. We got The King of Me. It took me, I don't know, how long has he been doing that? At least a year now. It took me months to realize that the me actually was abbreviated and meant Michelle Early. Monday edition, we got Ice. Sometimes Massey if he's not out touring the world with his music, but Monday editions for news and everything that's hot, that's popping around. Tuesdays, we got CQ doing the Pop Culture Warrior, doing interviews with folks from the industry, whether it's comics, celebrities, art, whatever. Most of the time he's got Mad Mike on there. Sometimes I co-host. We got the Smoke Pit. Radar will be back in the future once he gets a lot of stuff worked out. I'm going to try to fill in wherever I can. You got the Sports Bar with the actual King Smith and Coach. Make sure you ask him about the WNBA next time you see him. Sergeant's Time. We got Ice back on, talking about all things Army, things that you would talk about during Sergeant's Time, things like that. Friday, FTX. They had that last night. I didn't get a chance to make it out, but tabletop gaming, always fun, always entertaining. Weekend co-ops that will be starting in 5-ish minutes. So, and then we have other things that are coming up on the docket and coming up soon. So stay tuned, and thanks for everybody for saying hi. I will sign off here. Yeah.